Hi everybody, it's me Pedro again. I'm here today with a special guest, Aris Latham, who is considered the father of organic, gourmet, ethical raw food in the Americas. And so we're gonna have a small interview just to know a little more about him. So,
Okay, great.
hi Aris, welcome.
Hi,
Thank you
thank
for
you.
being here.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
So what I wanted to ask you was, first, you have a different concept about raw food than many other raw food gurus that we know about. And mainly I wanted to know what your opinion is about superfoods that you talk about, superior foods.
Okay. Yes, well, lately, the raw food circus, they call the acts that are going on out there. The raw food circus has discovered, superfoods. Same way Christopher claimed Columbus discovered America. Superfoods that the Incas, the native communities in the Americas have been using for thousands of years. And who knows, maybe this is the link, of why they created such super civilizations, in the ancient time. But still, these people never stopped eating their papayas and mangoes and, all of the wonderful coconuts and these other things that we are, as raw foodists or living foodists, that we enjoy because they have their high degree of moisture and we can eat them in abundance. There's no doubt that the maca and the camu camu and some of these foods that come out of the heart of ancient South America are superfoods. But I really if those are superfoods, then I really need to elevate papaya, to being a superior food, and the water from the young coconut, being a superior food, because the water from the young coconut, it's a living water, it's loaded with minerals, it cleanses the body and remineralizes it, and it really allows the body to produce energy very effectively without a whole lot of work. And a food like papaya, papaya has digestive enzymes that are so potent that would break down any food. They even use papain, the papaya enzyme, to absorb oil spills. That's how powerful it is. It breaks fat down. You can combine a little water and oil in a glass and put a spoon of papain, papaya enzyme in there, stir it up, and you see, the oil normally floats to the top, the water's at the bottom. You put a little papain in there, stir it up together. The papain breaks the oil down, and you see they both fuse together very effectively. So this is what it does in our body as well. So I would really claim that to be a superior food. And even things like goji berry, that comes out of China. The Chinese have been eating goji berries for thousands of years. They've had it even in America, in the US, in Chinatown. Every Chinatown is full of goji berries. But yet, now the raw food circus discovered goji berries, But goji berry cannot compete with papaya in my book. They don't use goji berry to tenderize steak as they do papaya. So these are very intense superior food, and lots of all of the other fresh foods that we consume, all of the lettuce and the tomatoes and the cucumber, the cherries, juicy cherries, that is a superior food. And I can eat cherries, a couple of pounds of those things. Try eating a couple of pounds of goji berry and see what happens.
Very good. So I wanted also to ask you, you're mainly fruitarian. And I've asked Gabriel Cousins a few months ago what he thought about Dr. Graham's 811 diet, which is mainly a fruitarian diet, and that's the diet I prefer also. I like a raw food diet high in fruit. But Gabriel Cousins, he told me that there would be lots of people that this fruit diet wouldn't work for. That for more people, the high protein, high fat diet is better. What's your opinion about this?
Well, when you say a fruitarian diet, most people will consider a fruitarian diet a diet that's high in fruits that are very high in sugar. You know, but in my book, a fruitarian diet are all foods that come to us with seeds. So tomatoes are a fruit, cucumbers, you know, bell peppers, you know, these are all fruits. Eggplant, zucchini, these are all fruits, and they contain no sugar. Cucumber, very great fruit for a fruitarian, contains no sugar whatsoever, because it seems like, you know, in the book of certain raw food scientists, they shun fruits because of its high sugar content. And yes, they would prefer more fat or even complex carbohydrates like the grains and things of that nature. But myself, yes, I am pretty much a fruitarian, about 90% fruit, but I do include the non-sugar fruits in my diet very highly as well. But the thing is, yeah, there's certain people that cannot function well on a high fruit diet because they're not living like Dr. Doug Graham. Doug Graham is very athletic. The guy's out there burning sugar, you know, and like myself, I run on sugar, you know. I'm all over the world. I'm traveling 3-4 cities in a month, you know, around the world. So, you know, my body works very effectively, very efficiently on fruit sugar. And ultimately, look, all foods need to be broken down into a simple grape-like sugar. Even, you know, protein and fat, the body has to break it down into a sugar similar to grape for it to be able to absorb it and process it effectively. And these foods require a little more work than just eating grapes that already have the sugar on the level that the body can appreciate it. So people who are very sedentary, yeah, a high fruit diet loaded with sugar can really wear you out, can whack you out. And also people who are eating a lot of concentrated complex carbohydrates in the way of starches, grains, and root vegetables, and most legumes as well. They don't combine well with the fruit. So most practitioners will have you opt for the starch instead of the fruit. But I would rather have you opt for the fruit instead of the starch because it's simple sugar, just the way it is.
Exactly. So another thing we have is lots of these raw food big people, they recommend supplements and B12 shots.
Yes.
And personally, I prefer a raw food diet because it's the most natural approach that I can find. So I don't take B12 shots, I don't take supplements. What's
Yes.
your idea about this?
Well, look, you know, well, first of all, I hear that one who does not, a vegan who does not consume any animal products, since they don't contain any B12, they're very deficient in B12, and the consequences of being deficient in B12, I've been told that your nerves become very shocked, very shattered. And look, for me, it's been 42 years now of not consuming any food of animal origin. And I've never, ever taken any B12 supplements whatsoever. It's been 36 years consuming all raw food. And I would like to really test my nerves, you know, with some of these practitioners that are claiming that I need B12 supplement. My nerves are steadier than a lot of these practitioners. Even some of these orthodox doctors that are prescribing B12 for vegans, you know, they're very nervous. They can't even write a prescription straight. And the thing is, it's all scrab toes, you know, scrabbles. But anyway, the body synthesizes B12 in the small intestine, in the intestinal tract. That is equivalent to the B12 that we derive from animal protein. 95% of the B12 that is found in animal protein comes out in our excrement. So really, without that B12, that animal protein may not even come out of your system. Those animal proteins are stacked and loaded with B12 because it is required for them to be processed through our body. And we only get to utilize 5%. And if you're eating all raw foods, 100% living foods, the body has the capability, just like a cow, to synthesize B12 in the intestinal tract. Because the intestinal tract is clean, it doesn't have the unfriendly bacteria. A cooked food vegan has a lot of unfriendly bacteria, you know, stirring up in their intestinal system, so they cannot synthesize and produce the necessary B12 to have their system run effectively. But yes, I am deficient in B12. So what? Okay.
So another thing is, what do you think about should we eat 3 times a day, or is it okay to eat between meals, or should can we eat just spontaneously during the whole day, bananas, fruit, etc.? What's your idea about this?
Yeah, when it comes to that, it really comes down to a personalized individual, you know, options. You know, for me, the ideal way to eat is really 1 meal per day. You know, 1 solid meal, and generally for me that's right smack in the middle of the afternoon of my day, around 3 o'clock. In the morning my body is cleansing, it's eliminating waste, so I'm not going to put in food into my body to build it. So I'm not going to eat a meal, a breakfast like the you know, is recommended by a lot of our practitioners. I would just put in a break fast into my system, because my body's breaking its fast. So I want to clean it out, I want to flush it out, I want to hose it out, scrub it, sweep it out. So I put in a lot of liquids and fibers, you know, juices and fruits in my system. Then mid-afternoon I would have my solid, rich, concentrated protein. And usually I would combine that with about 75% of vegetables, if I'm eating vegetables, or the vegetable fruits, or I can even combine it with our fruits if those proteins are seeds and nuts that have been soaked, germinated, you know, and activated, so that the body can digest them effectively and they won't compete with the fruit in my diet. But you know, individuals, you know, based on their level of activity, the constitution of their system, they can opt to just eat fruits all day and have, you know, 3-4 pieces of fruit like every 2-3 hours. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. Fruits take a very small amount of time to digest. Within an hour, you know, the average high moisture content fruit is already digested in our system. But if we're eating these big solid square 3 square meals a day, you know, breakfast, lunch and dinner, with all of the fats and concentrated complex carbohydrates, then those meals take on average about 4 hours to digest. So you're talking, you know, 12 hours of digestion for 3 meals in 1 day. You know, so we're spending a lot of time digesting, and not to mention the hour or so that we spend eating those meals. That's like 15 hours of the body just constantly in digestive mode. No wonder why a lot of them are constipated. And then they got this theory about, you know, 3 bowel movements a day. Yeah, if you're putting in 3 heavy loads a day, then the next one down the system, down the chute, pushes the other one out the gate that's down at the bottom. But if you're eating the way I recommend, the sun-fired feasting, fasting, and healing system based on the electromagnetic energies of the food, then the morning, the body does all this elimination in the morning. You know, that's the elimination period. That's when the waste comes out of the body. And most of the time it's involuntary. You get up out of the bed and you're pretty much, you know, heading to the throne right there. You don't have to push, you don't have to meditate, you don't have to sit and read a book. You know, the thing just drops right out on you. You know, it's like boom, you know, 1 drop, period. That's it. And you're done with your elimination for the day. And you see the massive load that drops right out. So, you know, that break fast period is very crucial. So let's just hydrate the body and sweep it out, mop it out. Take that internal shower in the morning.
So my last question, I have some friends, they look at your picture and they tell me, oh, this is the Rasta raw food guru. So I know that now cannabis has lots of beneficial medical properties, but what do you think about smoking cannabis?
Oh, wow. Well, you know, it's very interesting. Well, first of all, I am not a guru, you know, to begin with, because I take no followers, you know, and actually I follow nobody either, you know, so I'm not a leader or a follower. I just live my life, you know, the way I love it, you know, so yes, it can be used as a role model, you know, for others. You know, same like people like you know, Muhammad and Buddha and Christ and, you know, a lot of these, you know, enlightened ones, you know, they live their life on a very high level, and it's not about us following them. It's about using them as a role model. If they could do it, I could do it. You know, so if I could do it, you could do it. You know, and even seeing my hair the way it is, and, you know, calling me a Rasta. You know, I mean, I accept. You know, basically, I'm all religions or in legion within me. You know, because I really have my own spirituality. I have taken on the responsibility really to be my own God. You know, so I ask others to really guard yourself as well. You know, because a lot of us, because these gods that we